So I think that, if you're a married man and your wife has to work, you should not be playing any video games.
Wow. Yeah. No, I think you took a whole bunch of issues there and compiled them into one little summary. If you really dissect what you just said there, and let's be clear, we're not talking about women not working. It has nothing to do with it. It's a two person working household is pretty much required at this point in time. To survive economically. But I think what Ryan just said is if you're not doing enough, you're not doing enough to better yourself if you're allowing your wife to go out and bear the brunt of society and the burdens of having to work a 9 to 5 or whatever it may be. Is that essentially what
Hey,
you're alluding to there, Ryan?
Steve, guess what the average age of a gamer is?
Let's hear it.
It's 33.
Oh no, dude.
You want to
Eee.
know how many hours the average man games a week?
This is sad, but yeah, let's hear it.
It's between 16 and 20 hours.
Can you imagine? Can you? I
So if
mean,
you have a
personally.
40-hour job, if you have a 40-hour week job, which, frank, that's not a lot of hours of working. People act like they've worked their butt off all week and it's 40 hours. So if you have a 40-hour work week and you get overtime and you just put 20 hours into that overtime, you've essentially almost worked 2 full weeks at that point.
Yeah.
And if your wife needs to help support the family, understand that uh, sometimes there's no other option. And yeah, that's the case with the collapsing dollar and rising inflation. Is usually no other option, but you should be carrying the brunt of the load as the man of the house.
100%, and that's something that's we discussed in a previous segment, cultural deprivation and the collapse of the United States. And you bring up a good point there because it all starts in the home office, right? It's the culture. So the way that God designed things is God, Christ, man, woman, child. That's the God umbrella of how a home should function. Okay.
Yeah.
And they've done a very effective job. Satan has done a very effective job of breaking down that function to the point of chaos and to the point where either of the members of the household don't even know their specific role. Right. And now you have what you just said, 33-year-old men. What was it? 16 to 20 hours of gaming. Is that what you just said?
For the average male that's a gamer.
All right, fellas, you have to do better than this. Like you just have to be better. That's not good. That is not good. How do you expect to be an effective leader of a household, a husband that's worth a while, a father that's worth a while? How do you expect to be that, or even be capable of that if you are sitting there zoned out on a TV screen for that amount of time and not doing things to better your financial situation, your intellectual situation, your physical situation, whatever it may be? Man, those are terrible numbers, and that's just that's
Well, we
horrible.
we talk about on this channel the things that we can do to win this spiritual war in this country. And think about what happened a couple of years ago with the forced vaccinations. I mean, they weren't forced, but you were going
Right.
to lose your job if you didn't take the
Yeah.
jab.
Yeah.
And, imagine being in a situation where your wife has to take the jab because she has to keep her job because you only work 40 hours a week.
Right. Right. It's shameful. And I'd argue 50 years ago, you know, that would be outright publicly castrated. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that was known to be wrong. And it's funny. It's funny we're talking about this. I remember, you and I are of the age of the beginning era of video games, and
Yeah.
I remember my dad when I was a kid initially would not allow me to have a video gaming system because he said, it's gonna rot your brain, boy.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah. So,
It was right.
well, and I can speak to this personally. I lost my 20s to video games. I
Yeah.
played them all. I've always been a person that whenever I do something, whether it's a hobby or it's a job, I give it 100%. I want to be the best at it. And so if
Yeah.
I play a video game, I want to be the best, whether it's a strategy game, a massive online role playing game. I'm going to try to get to the top of it. So I put in countless hours that I could have gotten to spots in my career that I'm at now 10 years ago had I not spent most of my early adult life just wasting it away in front of a screen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want, let's clarify here. I'm not speaking out against video games, right? Because I myself like to jump on COD here and there with my son, and we like to play PGA golf on the PS5 here and there. But by no means is that at the forefront of our daily existence. I mean, that is something we will do maybe on the weekend at nighttime when all else is taken care of, all the goals are accomplished, and we're relaxing. That's the only time that's appropriate, in my opinion, to play video games, right? And the Bible, we look at the Bible, and the Bible says, the Bible says, laziness. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it's in Proverbs. Laziness causes poverty and a whole bunch of other things that are derivative of laziness. And I don't care how you want to put it. If you're playing video games for 16 to 20 hours a week, that's just straight laziness, dude. That's just straight laziness. And you're wasting your life. And this is how we've had such an impact on American culture, because men that were 33 50 years ago, they were out building skyscrapers and doing things that men should do, cutting timber and providing for society in an effective way, and they're absolutely toppling what it is to be a man with something like this and video games and all that nonsense. Just nonsense, dude.
Well, think about we are
John
blessed.
Fetterman is a bum. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
We are blessed with health. We are blessed with an amazing amount of technology. Most of the people that we talk to that want to better themselves, we're blessed with at least an average IQ or better.
Yeah.
There's no reason, we should only be working 40 hours a week as a man.
I
It's
agree with
straight
you.
up that's in fact I've got the statistics here that the average office worker, their daily productivity is basically 2 hours and 53 minutes a day.
Yeah, and that's from like 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yeah.
The
There's
rest of
so
the day
much.
is spent whining and going through social media.
We have a culture that complains about being broke all the time, living paycheck to paycheck. And yes, that's, a lot of it is because of inflation, because our government destroys our money. But one of the reasons why our government destroys our money is because we don't want to work for a living and we want handouts.
It's true. That's true. And that's exactly, though, how, a certain political party wants it. They want the middle class to be toppled. They want working aged men to be sitting in front of a screen playing video games all day. And, because let's just be honest. If you're doing that,
Yeah.
there's a high probability that you're doing other things that are derivative of that lazy culture. Porn, right?
Yeah.
You're on the socials, you're
Yeah.
looking at chicks. It's a rabbit hole. Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. This is what happens, and it's a
It's,
degradation of manhood. And let's say this too, Ryan. Say you are financially well off. Say you've got to that point to where you're like, I don't need to work more than 40 hours a week. Okay. You
yeah.
still should not be sitting there playing video games. Do something, find a hobby to help others, or just to be better as a man in general. Men, we need to start learning more skills. We need to be better in general. We need to be more intellectual. We need to be more physically capable. We need to pull out the old tool and die sets of our grandfathers and learn how those things work. Whatever it is, there's always something that is going to be more productive that you can invest your time in, other than wasting away in front of a TV screen.
We should be striving for self-reliance. And that
Absolutely.
self-reliance can look different for everyone. It could be wealth. It could just be not knowing how to do everything, so you don't have to spend a bunch of money fixing stuff. You
Yeah,
know, but if you're in a situation where you are scared that your wife doesn't work that 40 hours that week, you guys can't get the bills paid,
yeah,
then there needs to be a sense of urgency there of what can I do? What can I do to make sure this family is taken care of? That,
absolutely.
a situation arises where they tell you you have to denounce God or you can't go to work, and then you're in a situation where you can say, no, I don't need you. I've got my own thing going. I've got my own way to make money. I've got my own way to take care of my family. And you can,
Self-sustainable, protected
yeah,
against the earthly things.
exactly.
You
You
don't
know,
have to budge on your principles. You don't have to forfeit, what you know to be true. I would suggest to every man out there, um, if you are part of corporate world, if you are part of a contractor world, whatever it is, strive for self-sustainability, and you're never going to get there by wasting time. You're never going to get there
exactly.
by wasting skills. Can you imagine if there were, an apocalyptic collapse today? Do you
Yeah.
think the 33-year-old man who's playing 16 to 20 hours of video games, do you think he's going to survive long or be able to help
Yeah.
others? Of course not. Doesn't even know how to swing an axe or probably change a tire or
Yeah.
put a new alternator in a pre 2000s car. Like, hone your skills. Learn
Yeah.
how to be a man. Be a man.